Well, hello. Thunderbirds are go. Let's just get that a bit better. So, I'd like to welcome all the new members who've joined us. People are still flocking into this workshop, which is brilliant. The more people who can learn how to work with their dogs without stress and fear and making things worse, the better. So, do carry on inviting your friends. This is excellent. There's catch-up time at the weekend, so even if they've missed the first couple of days, they can still learn a huge amount. There's great activity in the group. It's lovely to see videos. People are putting in videos of what they're doing, which is great. I do recommend video, and you can do it simply by just propping up your phone and recording yourself. You'll see things which you have no idea you're doing. You'll find that when you ask your dog to sit, you're going, sit, something like that. And when you just sit still and say, sit, dog says, well, I don't know what you mean. But normally you go like this, and just sit on its own means nothing to me. So you can catch all sorts of things you're doing, and it's especially useful in the focus game, because one of the big mistakes I see in the focus game is that people say yes with the food, or they've already got the food out here, or they're holding the food up. And what happens is the dog is following the food and has no idea what you're saying. They're just watching that food like this. And so they don't even notice you saying yes. They think this is just a game of following food, which it's not. It's a game of saying, I've eaten the food, can I have some more? And looking at you. And you marking the looking at you, or at least turning towards you to begin with. Looking can come later. And then the food goes down. The food is both a reward for doing it right, and because you said yes, that means they've earned a reward. And it's also a way to get the dog away from you, facing away from you, so they then have to turn around and look at you again. So whoever it was who was asking, can I hand feed? You're really better off getting them to eat off the floor. And you can encourage them to do this by just tapping the floor next to the food, saying, come on, you can eat that, nudging it towards them. They'll eventually realise I am allowed to eat that in this context. One or two people have said to me in the past, doesn't that mean that my dog will scavenge? No, because you didn't say yes beforehand. If you said yes, here's your treat, they are entitled to get it wherever it goes. So that is very different from them just volunteering to scavenging the floor. Another quick thing which I noticed in the group was a dog would go down, get the food, and then snuffle around for crumbs. So you have to make sure that your food is not crumbly. It's one solid thing which they can see. You can use hard treats for this if your dog is happy with them, or cheese, little cube of cheese is good because it's very visible. So they can see that's it, and they see there's no extra. If you have been using crumbly treats and they have learnt to hoover, you've just got to let them find out, well, actually, there's never any extra. There's only ever the one. And then they snatch it and turn back to you. Okay, that is important. So yes, by all means, fiddle around with video, play with video. You can always delete it. You don't have to show it to anyone, but have a look at it yourself. Some people are quite surprised at the turn that the workshop has taken. I don't know quite what they were expecting, but it's not what they've got. And I hope that nevertheless you are learning a lot, because it's not just about taking your dog out into the thick of it, it's about all the background work, all the stuff behind the scenes. One person said something interesting which I decided to pick up and quote you. Thank you, Sam, for this observation. This has all been so valuable in much more significant yet different ways than I thought it would be. Really good to take a step back and question everything. So Sam has really got it. Well done, Sam. And I hope that others of you are finding the same thing, that this is what's working for you. So today your lesson was about how to read your dog, learning his body language. Some of you may be bilingual already, fantastic, but I bet for some of you this video was enlightening. It's worth revisiting, as what you recognise in your own dog may not be so easy to see in a strange dog. And you may need to be able to suss it out fast on occasion. And different dogs show different aspects of these things. They all speak the same language, more or less, you've got to get good at it. Once you really can understand what dogs are saying, it makes life so much easier. People often say to me, but he was wagging his tail as they nursed their bitten hand. You need to know just what's going on. There are wags and there are wags. There are wags and there are wags and other things between. So you need to learn this. Many people have been bitten by dogs whose tails were wagging. It does not necessarily mean pleasure. So I hope you enjoyed getting your focus game fast and fun. If it's not happening yet, just keep going. A dog who's always been told what to do may be very worried about doing something wrong, so it can take them a while to get into it. I know a person on one of my other courses who got a seriously damaged dog from a sort of puppy farmer, and they're doing wonders with him. He really fell on his feet when he landed with them because they're taking such care. But he was so terrified that they couldn't get him to play this at all for weeks, and they just persevered, and gradually this dog is beginning to come out of himself, which is wonderful to see. This game has been material to that. What we want the dog to do is to change from being told what to do to working out what to do. We want him to choose. It's all about choice. Getting your dog to take part in this and contribute to the team. It's a team. It's not master and slave. It's a team. And this is what will make it work. The article by Eileen Anderson, which I directed you to as well, that's an excellent introduction to desensitization and counter-conditioning, sometimes known as DSCC for short. Some of you have been using CARE at careforreactivedogs.com, which is also excellent. If Debbie is in the chat, you might add that link, www.careforreactivedogs.com. It's very good to take you through it. It's quite detailed, and some people make the mistake of saying, oh yeah, I get this, and they just do a bit of it without doing it thoroughly, which is why I directed you to Eileen's article, because it was pretty brief but pretty comprehensive. As she says there, systematic desensitization is a procedure in which learned fear of a neutral stimulus, that means something which isn't of itself frightening, learned fear of a neutral stimulus is extinguished by exposing the animal to the stimulus so gradually that involuntary fear responses are never triggered. One word to cover this: distance. Okay, this is what we're on about. If your dog is continually being challenged and making distance, not making distance, continually being challenged, then this is just going to keep the cortisol levels right up in the sky. So, yeah, the idea is to make sure that these responses are not triggered. Then the counter-conditioning comes in. After you've worked on the desensitization, then you start working on counter-conditioning. And that is the animal's respondent behavior to a stimulus, that just means a trigger, something happening, is replaced with an opposite automatic response. So instead of saying, there's a dog, bah! It says, there's a dog, yeah, okay. So you're changing the animal's response to what it's seeing, but you've got to do the desensitization part first. You can't cut to the chase. That's not going to work. So you have to start with desensitization and move on to counter-conditioning. Don't try and do it all at once. Trying to force a dog, or anyone for that matter, to face her fears is doomed to failure. And this piece demonstrates it very well, Eileen's piece. A lot of the things I teach my advanced students, that look at that and so on, are variants on this theme. And by the way, this is how I taught young Coco Poodle to watch dogs on TV calmly without losing his life as he used to. If you go to brilliantfamilydog.com because I know this is something that affects some of you, brilliantfamilydog.com, and look at one of the very recent blog posts. It's about it shows Coco calmly lying on my lap, quite comfortable, watching Flyball on the telly. Anybody who's ever watched Flyball knows that it's the most stimulating, exciting, noisy, barking, shouting, screaming, dogs racing. It's incredibly exciting, and a tennis ball as well, just to mix it all in. So the fact that he could just calmly watch that now, when it used to be that if he saw anything on television with more than two legs, he would just be really panicky and frightened and scream and bark at it. You know, it's taken time, but we've got there. And now we can watch animals on television. So I want you to have a firm understanding of what DS and CC is about. One thing it is not about is distraction. This is a mistake many people make. If your dog is afraid of something, she needs to be able to study it to assess the level of threat and decide on fight or flight or freeze or flock or any of the other Fs. So trying to distract her by twisting her head in a head collar or holding a treat to her nose while you chatter at her is not going to affect this DS and CC. It's not going to do it. It may have got you out of a corner in that particular moment, but the dog hasn't learnt anything. Nothing will change. We're back to choice again. The dog has to decide her course of action, not you. It has to be a voluntary choice. That is where the learning is. So I'd like you to reread that article. You may have read it quickly and thought, oh yeah, I know this. I'd like you to reread it critically. You may have something you can work on at home because you're not sneaking out on walks, are you? And you might have something like Zanie's fear of the exercise machine, something like that that gets your dog going at home, and you can practice on that. For some, it may be the vacuum cleaner or the doorbell, the microwave, the phone, the noisy gritter lorries passing by. We've had plenty of those in the UK recently, rather uncharacteristically, to grit the roads because of all the snow. It could be your dog's harness. One or two of you have got a problem with your dog getting the harness on, so you can do DS and CC for that. Whatever it is, follow Eileen's method precisely to start making a change. Don't cut corners. It's taken your dog maybe 5 years to get where he is. He's not going to change overnight. You need time to change things. Don't rush. It's worth it. And this will show you, trying with the vacuum cleaner or the harness, this will show you just how much you will be able to change with your dog outside on those difficult walks as well, once you get going on those again. Not quite yet. I'm going to revisit this tomorrow. Don't be in a rush. So you do have masses to do today. I know somebody looked at it and said, well, where's the homework? Or where's the lesson? There's a lot there. There's a lot there. But as I said before, a lot of it's in your head. It's not making your dog do things. It's changing you. And changing you will change your dog. There's so much I'd love to teach you, but it can't all be done in 5 days. I am giving you the beginnings of enormous change. Even if you think these ideas are weird, just go along with me for this week and watch the change.